the heart of a gleaming corporate tower, where glass walls reflected the skyline and people in sharp suits moved with purpose, there worked a janitor named Ethan Cole. He wore faded blue overalls and carried a mop like a soldier's weapon. But behind his quiet eyes lived a dream no one believed in. Every night after cleaning the CEO's office, he would stand by the large window, staring at the city lights below, whispering to himself, "One day, I'll build something of my own. Something that changes lives." He was a dreamer trapped in the shadows of a billion-dollar empire. The company he worked for was Starlance Industries, a tech empire ruled by one of the most feared and admired CEOs in the world, Amelia Voss. She was brilliant, ruthless, and cold as winter steel. Her words could build a future or destroy a career. To her, time was money, and people were assets. She didn't believe in dreams, she believed in results. Ethan had always admired Amelia from afar, not for her wealth or fame, but for her determination. She had built her empire from scratch, starting as a young woman selling gadgets out of her garage. But somewhere along the way, she had lost something: compassion. Power had built her walls high, and no one dared to climb them. One evening, when most employees had left, Ethan was cleaning the main lobby when he saw Amelia sitting alone in her glass office, staring at her computer. Her face was tense, her shoulders heavy. He thought for a second, then quietly stepped closer. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said softly, his voice respectful. She looked up, clearly irritated. "What is it?" she snapped. I noticed you've been here late every night. Maybe you should get some rest. Even the strongest machines break down if they run nonstop." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Amelia laughed, a sharp, almost mocking laugh. "You're giving me advice, janitor," she said coldly. "You just clean floors. Leave the thinking to people who actually matter." The words cut deep, but Ethan didn't flinch. He simply nodded, his heart aching but his resolve strong. "Maybe," he replied quietly, "but even floors need to shine before people can walk on them." He left without another word. That night, Amelia couldn't sleep. She told herself it was because of the workload, the stress, the deadlines. But deep down, she knew it was that janitor's calm confidence that unsettled her. The next day, fate gave them another unexpected encounter. The company was hosting a small innovation challenge, a competition for employees to submit new product ideas. The prize: a chance to work directly with Amelia herself. Ethan, who had secretly been teaching himself coding and engineering through free online courses, decided to take a chance. He stayed up for nights, sketching out his idea for a device that could purify and recycle air in low-cost housing. It wasn't just a product, it was hope for poor families struggling with pollution. When the day of the presentation came, the conference room buzzed with excitement. Suited employees presented flashy slides, complex jargon, and sleek designs. Then came Ethan's turn. Whispers filled the room. "The janitor. What's he doing here?" Amelia crossed her arms, unimpressed. "This should be interesting," she murmured. Ethan walked to the front, holding nothing but a simple prototype built from recycled parts. "Good morning," he began, his voice steady. "I'm Ethan Cole from maintenance. I may not wear a suit, but I've seen how hard ordinary people live. I've seen families suffer because they can't afford clean air or good health. So I built this. He turned on his small device, and to everyone's surprise, it started purifying the air in real time, filtering out dust and smoke. The data screen showed a 90% reduction in pollutants. Gasps filled the room. But before anyone could say anything, Amelia chuckled lightly. "Impressive toy," she said. "But the real world doesn't run on dreams and recycled parts. It runs on capital, research, and experience. You have none." Then smiled gently. "Maybe not yet, ma'am, but every expert was once a beginner." Her eyes hardened. "Security, make sure he doesn't waste more of my time," she said, dismissing him. That humiliation could have broken any man, but not Ethan. He bowed politely and walked away. However, among the audience sat one of Amelia's senior engineers, Marcus Hale, who was deeply moved by Ethan's passion. That evening, Marcus found Ethan in the basement. "Kid," he said, "that was brave. Don't stop now. I've seen your prototype. It's crude, but it works. Let me help you improve it." That night marked the beginning of an unexpected friendship. They worked in secret, using scrap materials and after-hours access to lab tools. Slowly, the prototype became a real, functioning model. But word spread. And soon, Amelia found out. She stormed into the lab one night and caught them red-handed. "You're using company resources without authorization," she shouted. "Do you realize what this means?" Ethan looked up calmly. "Yes, ma'am. It means we're trying to build something that matters." Her voice rose in fury. "You're fired. Both of you," she declared. Security escorted Ethan out that night. But before he left, he turned to her and said, "Someday, you'll remember this night, and you'll wish you had believed instead of mocked." Months passed. Ethan faced hardship. He couldn't find another job. No one wanted to hire a janitor with unauthorized project on his record. But he didn't give up. He started fixing old appliances for extra cash, saving every penny to fund his dream. He uploaded videos online, showing how to build low-cost air purifiers. People started noticing. Donations came in. Engineers reached out. What began as a spark became a wildfire. Within a year, Ethan founded Novair Technologies, a small startup dedicated to clean, affordable air solutions. His first factory employed workers from poor neighborhoods, giving them hope and dignity. Meanwhile, Starlint's industries began to crumble. Their latest project failed, investors pulled out, and Amelia's empire started falling apart. The woman who once stood above the world now faced bankruptcy and public humiliation. The press called her the fallen queen of tech. She lost everything: her company, her investors, her reputation. And one cold evening, as she walked out of her office for the last time, the same janitor she had once mocked drove by in a simple electric car bearing the logo Novair. Their eyes met through the glass. For the first time, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: humility. Days later, Amelia received a letter. It wasn't from a lawyer or investor. It was from Ethan. The letter read, "Dear Ms. Voss, You once told me I was just a janitor. You were right, I was. But that janitor learned something from you, that no dream is too small and no rejection too harsh to destroy faith. If you ever need help rebuilding, Novaire's doors are open. We don't judge people by where they fall, but by how they rise. Amelia read the letter again and again, her heart aching with regret and admiration. The same man she had laughed at was now offering her a chance to stand again. The irony cut deep, but so did the truth. For days, she couldn't decide what to do. Pride battled gratitude, ego battled humility. But one morning, as she looked at her reflection in the mirror, she realized that the woman staring back wasn't the Amelia who once built dreams. She had become her own prison. And perhaps it was time to be free again. As the sun rose over the city, Amelia made her decision. She picked up her phone and called the number at the end of Ethan's letter. The voice on the other side was calm, kind, and familiar. Ethan Cole speaking. Her voice trembled slightly. It's Amelia Voss. Silence. Then softly Ethan replied, I was hopping you, call. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. I want to learn how to dream again. Ethan smiled. Then welcome to Novaire. Let's rebuild together. The sound of those words carried warmth, forgiveness, and a new beginning. Amelia, the woman who once ruled through fear, now found herself standing at the door of redemption, guided by the same man she had once belittled. Life had come full circle, and for the first time in years, she felt alive. And as the chapter of their new story began, the narrator's voice fades in. Studio, never underestimate anyone. The janitor you mock today might be the reason you stand again tomorrow. Dreams don't die when people laugh at them. They grow stronger. If you believe in second chances, hit subscribe and join us for When Amelia Voss stepped into Novaire Technologies for the first time. It didn't feel like entering a company. It felt like walking into a heartbeat. There were no towering glass walls, no high heels echoing down marble floors, no cold boardrooms filled with silence and fear. Instead, there was warmth, laughter, and purpose. Workers smiled as they passed her. Engineers shared ideas over coffee. And janitors, yes, janitors were treated as part of the team. It was a place built not on ego, but on empathy. And at the center of it all stood Ethan Cole, the man she had once dismissed as just a janitor. As she watched him speak with his employees, explaining new designs for the air purification modules, she realized something profound. This was leadership. Not power, not dominance, but compassion that inspired others to rise. Ethan noticed her standing at the doorway and walked toward her with the same humble smile he'd worn the day they met. Welcome to Novaire, he said warmly. I hope you don't mind the chaos. We believe progress is a little messy. Amelia gave a faint smile, still uneasy. It's different from what I'm used to. Different isn't always bad, Ethan replied softly. Sometimes it's the only way forward. Those words lingered in her mind. For years, she had built walls around her company, her life, and her heart. Now, she was learning to open doors again. At first, it wasn't easy. Old habits clung to her like shadows. She would often correct employees sharply, expect perfection, or demand results without explanation. But Ethan never scolded her. Instead, he guided her patiently. "You can't rebuild people the way you rebuild machines," he told her one evening as they looked over design plans. "They need understanding more than correction." She stared at him, speechless. Once, she had been the mentor, the visionary. Now, she was the one learning from the janitor she once laughed at. And strangely, it didn't hurt, it healed. As weeks turned into months, Amelia became part of the Novair family. She started leading strategy meetings again, her brilliance returning, but with a difference. She no longer barked orders. She listened. She encouraged. Her ideas combined with Ethan's compassion created a spark that transformed Novair from a small startup into a movement. Together, they launched a groundbreaking initiative called Breathe Free, providing low-cost air purifiers to orphanages, hospitals, and refugee camps. Media outlets began covering their story: the fall of a billionaire, the rise of a janitor, and their unexpected alliance that was changing the world. One afternoon, as they prepared for a charity launch, a journalist asked Amelia on live television, "You were once one of the most powerful CEOs in the world. Now you work for the man you fired. How does that feel?" The question struck deep, but Amelia smiled. "It feels like I finally understand what power truly means," she said. "It's not about control. It's about creating something that makes others stronger. Ethan taught me that." The video went viral. Millions were moved. Comments flooded in, praising her humility and Ethan's forgiveness. For the first time, Amelia's name was associated not with arrogance, but with redemption. Behind the success, however, lay new challenges. The company grew rapidly, but so did competition. A massive corporation, one that had once been Starlince's rival, set out to crush Novair. They copied their designs, spread false rumors, and filed lawsuits. Investors grew nervous. Employees feared layoffs. Amelia could see the same storm she once faced returning, but this time she wasn't alone. Ethan called a meeting, his calm presence silencing the panic. "We built this company on trust," he said. "No one can copy that. Let's not fight back with hate. Let's fight back with innovation." Inspired, the team doubled their efforts. Amelia poured her strategic brilliance into new projects, while Ethan motivated everyone with his quiet confidence. They worked late nights together, often sharing stories about the past. One night, as they sat on the office rooftop, Ethan looked up at the stars. "Funny, isn't it?" he said. "Once I used to clean your windows. Now we're building a world where kids can breathe under these same stars." Amelia smiled gently. "And once I thought success was about numbers. Now I know it's about people." Silence followed, comfortable and filled with unspoken gratitude. But fate had another test in store. One of Novair's factories suffered a chemical leak caused by a sabotage from their rival company. Dozens of workers were injured. The media pounced on the story, twisting facts and blaming Novair's inexperience. It was chaos. Amelia, shaken, felt guilt flood back into her veins. "This is my fault," she told Ethan. "If I had had managed things better, but Ethan stopped her. "No, Amelia, this isn't your fault. What matters now is what we do next." They spent days helping the injured employees and their families. Amelia personally visited hospitals, sitting beside workers who had once been strangers to her. One of them, a young woman named Clara, held her hand and said, "You came here yourself. CEOs don't do that." Amelia's eyes filled with tears. "They should," she whispered. That moment changed her completely. She vowed that no matter how big Novair became, it would never lose its humanity. To counter the crisis, Amelia came up with a daring idea, a public innovation challenge inviting the world's brightest minds to help design a safer, smarter factory model. Instead of hiding their failure, they turned it into a movement for transparency and learning. Ethan loved the idea. "That's the Amelia Voss I used to admire," he said with a grin. She laughed softly. "You mean the one who used to fire people?" "No," he said, "the one who never stopped dreaming." Challenge became a global success. Within months, Novair introduced a new generation of purifiers and eco-safe factories. Their transparency earned them trust, their compassion earned them loyalty, and their resilience earned them respect. The same media that once questioned them now called Novair the heart of modern innovation. Amelia stood beside Ethan at the grand relaunch event, her heart swelling with emotion as thousands cheered their journey. The banner above read, "From the ashes, we breathe again." After the event, Amelia found herself alone in the lab, looking at the original purifier prototype, the one Ethan had built years ago from recycled parts. She ran her fingers along its surface, memories flooding back. That tiny, imperfect machine had started everything. Ethan walked in quietly and said, "Still looks good, doesn't it?" She nodded. "It's more than good. It's a reminder that no dream is too small and no person too ordinary." Ethan smiled. "You know, Amelia, when you laughed at my dreams, I don't blame you. You were just lost. We all get lost sometimes." She turned to him, tears glimmering in her eyes. "And you found me when I didn't even know I needed saving." He shook his head. "No, you rebuilt yourself. I just handed you the first brick." They stood in silence, two souls who had walked through fire and found light on the other side. Years later, Novair became one of the most respected companies in the world, not just for its technology, but for its humanity. Their products cleaned the air in millions of homes, schools, and hospitals. Their message spread far beyond the walls of business. It became a movement of hope, forgiveness, and second chances. Amelia became a mentor to countless young entrepreneurs, always reminding them, success means nothing if it doesn't lift others with you. And Ethan, he remained the same humble dreamer he always was, still walking the factory floors, still greeting every worker by name, still believing that greatness could start with a broom and a dream. The world called him the janitor who changed the air we breathe. But to those who knew him, he was simply Ethan, the man who rebuilt a broken empire by healing a broken heart. As the sun set over the city, Amelia and Ethan stood once again by a window overlooking the skyline, the same view where everything had begun. The air outside was cleaner now, clearer, brighter, You did it, Amelia whispered. We did it, Ethan corrected. And as the music swelled, and the narrator's voice echoed softly for the viewers, studio, never underestimate kindness. Never laugh at someone's dream, because one act of mockery can destroy faith, but one act of forgiveness can rebuild a soul. Remember, dreams grow in the hearts of those who refuse to give up. Subscribe now for more powerful stories that remind us all every ending can become a new beginning.